Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakodash. Welcome to another live lesson. Barakatah Yahweh. The name of this one is Vocab is Choking on That Smoke. This is based off of a video Elder Pastor put up. This one is Vocab Got Smoked Part 2. And I'm going to let you hear what Apostle Tahar said about vocab, and then we're going to get into another point in this video. Lord's will bring out a couple of precepts and end the lesson there. But before I do that, another scripture came to mind. Let me just grab that real quick. And one more came up, so let me grab that real quick. All right, let me just give me a second here. All right, so let's play it.
And he's choking on the smoke. This is my man Vocab is choking on that smoke.
So you heard what the Elder Apostle Tahar said. Vocab, my man Vocab is choking on that smoke, and it's true. Now, one of the things that he brought out on this live was this point here about the beast, which I want to get real quick and hit a couple of points on it.
Meaning, that's not my understanding.
No.
I'm asking, according to your understanding, you're saying that it's alliance with Satan. You wouldn't be able to buy, sell, or trade, buy or sell unless you had the alliance with Satan. And you said it's already out right now, so I'm asking you, how are you able to buy and sell?
But what you're missing is the full power given to this beast. That hasn't happened yet.
Now, he said the full power of the beast wasn't given to him yet. Elder Apostle Tahar went into it, but I just want to bring out a couple of precepts on that, to show you that Vocab is ignorant when it comes to knowing the prophecies of the scriptures. Now, in the book of Job 9:24, it says the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. So the power was already given. Once one empire goes down, another empire comes up. And when we read in Psalm 75 and 6, it says, for promotion cometh neither from the east, nor from the west, nor from the south, but the Most High is the judge. He putteth down one and setteth up another. So America and Esau, they're not ruling conjointly with any nation. They're the ones that's ruling and calling the shots. So the earth is given into the hand of the wicked, because we understand that through the scriptures, the Edomites, which are the red people, the original red people of the earth, they are the wicked. They are labeled or identified as the wicked in the scriptures. So the Lord is the one that is the judge. He puts down one and he sets up another. Let's get one more on that. Daniel 4:17. This matter is by the decree of the watchers and the demand, by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the bases of men. So the bases of men are ruling right now. So the Lord gave this power of the earth into the hand of Esau, because it was their time to rule. So they have full authority and full power, because they are the ones ruling the world. They are the ones that are in charge. They are the ones making policies and legislation and different things of that nature. They are the ones that are benefiting from the whole structure that was set up, based off of this beast system that goes back to Esau. Now, when we go to the book of Revelation 13 and 2, after it speaks about this beast with the 7 heads and 10 horns, it says, and the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard. Now, why did John make reference to the leopard? Because this was the beginning of the beast. Now, where can this also be found? Where can this leopard also be found? Well, when we go back to the book of Daniel, the 7th chapter and the 3rd verse, it says, and 4 beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. So this spoke about 4 beasts, and we know through research that each one of those four beasts represented a particular empire, which the first one, which was a lion and had eagle's wing, that was the Assyrian Empire. And then when the wings were plucked up was by the Babylonian Empire. So this would be the Assyro-Babylonian Empire. Then it says, and behold, another beast, a second like to a bear. We know that this represents the Middle Persian Empire. So we're going to the third beast, and it says in the third beast, after this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard. And now who did this leopard represent? This represented Alexander the Greek and the Greek Empire. And this is the reason why the Apostle John did not start with the Assyro-Babylonian Empire, because this beast that has 7 heads and 10 horns was a red beast, or a scarlet colored beast, which is red, which goes back to Esau. And the beginning of Esau's empire or rulership through 7 major nations on the planet Earth was through the Greeks. And that's why it started with the leopard. When you go back to the beginning, it was the Greeks, then the Romans, you had the French, the Spanish, Germanian Major, Germanian Minor, and then Britain. So those are the 7 major empires of Esau that ruled on the planet Earth. That is that representation of the 7 heads and 10 horns. Because when we go to Revelation 17 and 9, the Lord would explain certain things to the Apostle John, even though he didn't really fully understand everything. But this was for us in these days. Revelation 17:9, and here is the mind which has wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains. Now, if you understand anything about scripture, you know that a mountain represents what? A government. Now, there's many scriptures in the Bible that go into that. But let's go real quick to Isaiah, the 2nd chapter. Isaiah 2 and 1. The word that Isaiah the son of Amos saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountain. So the mountain, or the government of the Most High's house, which are who? The Israelites, shall be established, set in order, set in power, and top of the mountains, meaning on top of all the other governments. You know, so all them other nations that rule, they're going to be underneath our feet, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. So pretty much a mountain sometimes can represent an actual mountain, but sometimes it actually represents governments. So and even in Esau's system, when different governments are meeting together, they call it what? A summit. Now, what is a summit? The summit is the top of a mountain. So when we read here in Revelation 17, and here is a mind which has wisdom, the 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. So these 7 mountains represent what? 7 major ruling governments or major empires that ruled from the beginning. And this is a representation of what? Of that scarlet colored beast with the 7 heads and the 10 horns, which goes back to all of the major empires of Esau, beginning with the Greeks all the way up until the British, which was the 7th one. And out of those 7 came another, which is known as the 8th, which is who? America. So it says, and here is the mind which has wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth, and there are 7 kings, meaning 7 major rulers, you know, among these nations, which is a pretty much just a representation that particular empire or government would be in rulership. You had the Greeks that ruled from around 333 BC, and they were amalgamated into, and pretty much taken down and amalgamated into the Roman Empire, like roughly around 35 BC, around there, when the last of the Edomite pharaohs, you know, fell under the hand of the Romans. I believe that was Ptolemy the 13th, if I'm not mistaken. You know, and then it became what? The Roman Empire. But the Roman Empire was already in power from around 168 BC, I believe it was, until they fell after the Flavian dynasty. You know, and then you had other empires that were ruling back then, but they all went back to sleep. So then as time progressed, and the Renaissance period came along, then you started having other empires coming out of that. But by the time the Renaissance period came around, that was around the time when later on in the history, the British Empire would rise. It would falter because it had to make way for the eighth, which is America. So there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen. So at this time, there were 5 kings that had fallen, or 5 empires that were pretty much taken over by this one major empire, which was what? Rome. Because at the time when this vision was given to the Apostle John, the Roman Empire was in power. That's why it says, and there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, and one is. Which is the one that is? The one that is talking about the Roman Empire. And they had subjugated all of those so-called European countries under them. Remember, they took over the Gauls, and they took over the Visigoths, they took over all those other empires, which was modern day terms today would be Germania Major, Germania Minor, which was terms from back then, which is Germany, which they had a big, vast empire. Then you had Spain, and you had France, and them other empires that fell, and the Greeks that fell under the Roman Empire. It says, and the other is not yet come. And the other that was not yet come was what? This was the British Empire, which was the next major empire after all of these empires. It says, and when he cometh, he must continue a short space, because they ruled for a period of time. The British pound was a world reserve currency at one time, until America took over. And that's why America outshadows, the British Empire, although the Rothschilds from Britain are really calling the shots. So it goes into a lot of history. It says, and the beast that was and is not, even he is the eighth, which is what? This is America. Because America came out of this unholy alliance, of these major empires that ruled. And is of the 7 and goeth into perdition, because America was set up to be totally destroyed and annihilated. So when we go back to Revelation 13, and the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, this was the beginning of the beast, which we read in Daniel, the 7th chapter, in the 6th verse, and I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which this is a representation of the Greek Empire. This was the beginning of Esau, or the wicked, ruling on the planet Earth. And when they came back in the during the Renaissance period, that's when the earth was totally given into the hand of the wicked, because back then they had power over the known world, but they didn't have power over the whole globe as they do now. All right, which had upon his back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it, and because they took over the whole known world at the time. All right, so it says, and the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority, because the dragon, in most cases in Revelation, is a representation of the Roman Empire, but in this case here, you could throw Satan in there, because the leopard, which are the Greeks, they came before the Romans. So they got the power from the left hand side, which really is a power from the Most High on the left hand side. That's why it says in Job 9:24 that the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. And just off of this one verse alone here in Job, if you look on earth, and if you scrutinize this verse, and you look on the earth, who would this fit? He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? Because no other person on the planet has covered up the face of the Most High and of his son, Yahweh Shai, the angels, the Israelites, but Esau, the so-called white man, which is identified in the book of Malachi as the wicked. So the beast was already given the power, because the Most High said that he rules in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the basis of men. And Esau is the basis of men, because they are the lowest form of humanity on the planet, if you could even call them human. All right, they have the worst history. They have the most disgraceful history that any human being has ever had on the planet Earth. No other human being has had a history of being so low in the caves of the Caucasus Mountains. You know, only these devils, which have the power that was given to them through this beast system. You know, and when we read with understanding this beast that has 7 heads and 10 horns, which is also known as a red beast or scarlet colored beast, we know that this is dealing with the Edomite empires that ruled, beginning with the Greeks and ending. The 7th one was the British Empire, and now the 8th, which we're reading about, is America. And America was pretty much set up as the 8th beast, or the 8th head, Salakia, that came out of this union to be destroyed. And we know that America's future is destruction. You know, it says, and the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which just goes into the EU, which used to be known as the EEC, or the European Economic Community. You know, and these all had power with these other nations, because it's an alliance. You know, it's a system. You know, but today the 8th head is in power, which is America. But America today would be known as the reincarnation of the ancient Roman Empire, so you could understand. You know, and the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but received power as kings 1 hour with the beast. And this has been fulfilled because the European Economic Community, which became later known as the European Union, they got their charter and their power in 1958, January 1st of 1958. March of 1957 is when they started getting in there, but it wasn't cemented until January 1st of 1958, which was the EEC, which later became known as the European Union. So we're at the end of this thing. So what are you talking about? You waiting for? They already got their power. We're already at the end of this. These 10 horns had already been set up, you know, for that time period. So the beast system that this guy's talking about, that hasn't had full power, they already got their power. Only thing that they haven't really fully implemented yet was the mark of the beast, which is the microchip. But the information and all that stuff is out there, so they have the power. That's what they write in legislation. That's what they forcing people to do certain things, you know, because they have the power. Because the earth was given into the hand of the wicked. And that's dealing with Esau, beginning with the so-called international bankers. So with that, you know, I pray that you brothers have been edified. To the next time I say Shalom. No kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. And this has been fulfilled because the European Economic Community, which became later known as the European Union, they got their charter and their power in 1958, January 1st of 1958. March of 1957 is when they started getting in there, but it wasn't cemented until January